Good afternoon. This is an exciting day for us as part of the Knicks organization. We want it to be an exciting day for Knicks fans. Today we're going to talk about some of the things that we're going to emphasize as an organization. We're going to emphasize pride, work ethic, accountability, and particularly those kinds of things because those are what we believe New York fans expect from the New York Knicks. We're going to emphasize youth, athleticism, teamwork, and defense. We're committed to rebuilding a team and building a team around the young core of players that we have. Kristaps, Tim Hardaway Jr., Frank, Billy Hernan-Gomez, and fortunately for us, moving forward, we still have all of our first-round draft picks, and we'll use those picks to add to the nucleus of young guys that we have in our organization. The veterans in our group will still be important because young players only get better with veteran leadership. Veterans that teach them how to be good players on the court, teach them how to be NBA players off the court. Those vets will be a big part of our organization and the growth and the continuity of our young group. We're really excited today to add Scott Perry to our team. Scott and I have known each other for a while. We've interacted with each other. You know, in this business, you always have general managers that you connect with and feel comfortable talking with. Scott was always one of those guys for me. He comes from a winning background and has been around winning organizations, and I'm excited to have him as one of my partners in trying to reshape this organization. As we look forward, we're going to rebuild what the front office of the Knicks looks like. I feel really good about a lot of the people that we have working for us, but we also know that there's room for us to grow and get better if we want to be a first-class organization. And Scott will have the freedom to sort of meet with everyone in our organization where he sees their opportunities to bring new people into the organization. He has the flexibility to do that, and we'll work as a tandem in making sure that we have a first-class operation. Another part that's important of how we're moving forward, and Scott and I have spent a lot of time talking about this, is player development. Player development will be a focus of our organization. It's important for us to find ways for our young players to get better, find ways for us to have our veterans get better. Player development is not relegated to just young players. Veterans need to find ways to become better NBA players as they mature in this league. We've done a good job so far of using our G League team as a development platform, but we will take a new level of emphasis on that and try to be one of the best developmental organizations in the NBA. And the last thing that I'm going to say about this is that for our fans and for the people within our organization and for our team, there will certainly be a consistency in the message that we give to people and the actions that we take moving forward. As we move forward, everything that we do will look back at the things we talk about today and lead us to a place where we will be building a team that focuses on youth, athleticism, and defense. So when we make transactions, we add players, we make changes or additions to our organization, everything we do will fall back and be supporting those same principles that we're going to be about as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next, I'd like you to introduce to you our new general manager, Scott Perry.
Well, first of all, I want to say how excited I really am to be named general manager for the New York Knicks, a storied franchise, I grew up admiring from afar. I have to pinch myself sometimes, realizing that I've received this opportunity. And I'm humbled by that as well. And I owe a lot of people thanks for why I'm sitting here today. Obviously, owner Jim Dolan, the man to my left, Steve Mills, who I've come to know and respect during my time in the NBA. Not only have we had a good business working relationship, we've developed a friendship. And I have complete trust in him. I think we're very much aligned in our thinking, so I'm really excited about the prospects of spending time and working with him. I also have my family here today, and I would not be sitting here without my family. So I want to introduce everybody to them. First, my wife, Kim, and daughter, Chelsea. They're the wind beneath my wings. They have stuck behind me on this long journey. My wife for 31 years. I've been in the game for over 30 years as a professional in some capacity or another. And my daughter, Chelsea, who now is 22 years old, they have provided me with the love and support that uplifts me even during tough times or good times. So I'm just flattered to have them here today. My sister Meredith, my brother Lowell are here. I'm the middle child, so they used to. I got it from both ways, from both of my siblings. But I'm glad that they could be here and join me today. And then my good friend Sherman Brown is here today, who's been a great friend and confidant to me during my business. And last but not least, my mom, Maxine Perry. And I have to recognize my dad, even though he's not here with us today, he's always with me in spirit. He passed away 16 years ago, but between the two of them, they helped raise me to be the man who I am today. And to come up in a household like that where they taught me love, they taught me confidence, they taught me the importance of treating people the way you wanted to be treated. So I can't thank you enough for the love and support that and guidance that you guys have given me throughout my life. And I know my dad is looking down on us now. My dad, for those of you who don't know, was the first. He had a lot of firsts in his life, but he was a professional player with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he became the first African-American assistant coach in the modern NFL in 1957. So this is a special, deep moment for me. In regards to coming here and taking on the challenge and working closely with Steve, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the direction. In meeting with him last week, again, we're aligned in so many ways. We're talking about having a young team that's going to play energetic, that's going to compete on a nightly basis. So I'm excited about that. I'm coming from a background of a lot of winning programs, and especially my years in Detroit, where we went to 6 straight conference finals and won a conference championship. So, I'm hoping to bring some of those experiences that I learned there to help continue and enhance this franchise and get where we want to go. I'm excited about the young core players that's here in New York. I think there's a lot to build around those young guys. We're going to continue to support those guys as we move forward. And again, it's just a great time, I think, and a great opportunity for all of us here to do special things for the Knicks franchise moving forward.
All right, thank you, Scott. And next, head coach Jeff Hornacek.
Thanks, everyone. Just to add to what Steve and Scott had talked about with how we want to move forward, the one big thing as a coach and talking with these guys is we want to try to establish an identity. And identity has to become defense first. We're not going to go out there and try to outscore teams. We want to get back to the type of defense that the guys are putting it out there every single night. There's going to be nights you don't shoot the ball very well. You could still win games. And that's the mentality we have to start with. I think one of the key things is everybody plays hard. Our guys played hard last year. We want to take that level to another higher level of playing hard and what that really means. And through practices, through the competition, not at games, but before and after practice with guys playing one-on-one, we're going to put them in situations where they are really competing. I think we all look at our young guys and say that's what we want to see. Good things will come when you do that. We as coaches have to make sure that we keep them accountable for that. We're going to do some things this year a little bit different than last year in terms of something internally the guys will be able to see. They'll be able to compare themselves to each other when we talk about our defensive mentality and things they do out there. We want to be a team that's scrappy, A team that's diving on balls, taking charges. We didn't do a whole lot of that last year with especially taking charges. We want to become a team that does that. That's how you win ball games. So that's going to be our biggest goal. We have to also try to develop a mentality for them and that desire to get a stop. It's not, okay, he scored that time, I'll guard him the next time. No, we're going to, you should be embarrassed or you should feel that guy can't score on me. And that's the mentality you have every time you're guarding the guy with the ball. Our team defense will have their rotations that they'll be responsible for, something we'll always kind of follow and check up on. But we really want to develop that mentality of when that guy has the ball, you're not scoring on me. Because I think when we do that and establish that part of the game, we can get out into the open court, get our offense to run a little bit more. Most teams try to get shots early in the clock. Those are the best shots you get, the highest percentages. So a good offense will start with a better defense. Our style, we want guys to be able to move the ball, move their bodies, cut hard, not stand around, play together as a team, enjoy playing the game. The offensive side of the ball might be fun to play. It becomes even more fun when you can make plays for your teammates. If you can drive in there and get a guy a dunk, you should get just as much excitement out of that pass as you did the dunk. And if we can do that, if you look some the great teams in the league, they enjoy passing the ball, and that's where we have to get all our guys to do. It takes some sacrifice, but we feel our guys can do that. I think like Steve and Scott talked about the development of our guys. We feel we've done a pretty good job with our young guys. You see guys like Billy, Ron Baker, our young guys really took steps and strides last year. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to find different ways to push them and develop their game within the concept of the team and what's good for us, not just what's good for them. So I'm excited to get this started again. Whenever you have a season that ends, there's 29 teams that didn't win the championship. And there's a lot of teams going back saying, we got work to do, and what are we going to do about it? And our coaches are working hard right now, already setting it up. We have guys in the gym, young guys. We had 7, 8 guys there today, so we're excited about the year.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Now we're going to do a question and answer period. We ask that you raise your hand, wait for the 2 microphones that Derek and Brian will give to you. Identify yourself so we know who you are.
Brian Mahoney from the Associated Press. And I guess, Steve, since you were here when the summer started, it sounded like the priority for the team was to move Carmelo. Is that still your goal, or if not, what is your goal leading into the second half of the summer now?
Well, as it relates to Carmelo, we've been in contact with Carmelo's representatives. We've been obviously in contact with other teams, and our view is if there's an opportunity that works for Carmelo and works for us, then we'll look at some kind of trade. But we also feel that if Carmelo could easily be a part of our team next year, and we have to understand how we're going to play and what the expectations of how we're going to play, and we're going to move forward. So it may be with Carmelo or it may be without Carmelo.
Ian Begley, ESPN. Scott, Steve, congratulations. And along those lines, when you guys heard from Carmelo's side, where is he on all this? Has he indicated to you guys that he's open to being moved or open to staying here? Where does he stand on this?
Well, it doesn't make sense for us to speculate and to really talk too much about where we are. From our vantage point, we made a decision as we were getting closer to hiring Scott that I felt it was important for us to slow down, regroup, as related to the trade scenarios with Carmelo. So we made a decision to slow things down, let us regroup and get together and make sure we're doing what's best for the New York Knicks, and at the same time we'll do what's best for Carmelo.
Scott, Howard Megdal with the Step Back. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
When you had conversations about taking the job, I'm curious what they were in terms of your pecking order in being the final decision maker when it came to basketball decisions, number one, and number two, if you could take us through how effective that was in Detroit, what that process was like, and whether you're looking to emulate that where you've seen some of your greatest success?
Well, first of all, in meeting with Steve, I quickly could tell just how much aligned we were. And we're going to be doing a lot of this together. And but one of my first tasks is going to be to come in and evaluate the entire operations department. I'm going to start doing that ASAP and meeting with everybody and getting the opportunity to hear everyone's story and learn about their roles and contributions. And then I'll be in a position to make strong suggestions to Steve, but maybe we need to add some more to our group. So at the end of the goal is that we want to have first in class when it comes to front office operational staff. That's our goal, and we're going to go at this thing together. So that's my stance on that. In terms of Detroit, again, people talk about culture all the time, about winning cultures. I think the biggest thing I learned there, you can have a lot of signs and printouts that have a lot of fancy statements, but at the end of the day, you got to live culture every day, and that's how you treat people. That's how you hold people accountable. That's everybody having a shared vision. One of my things what we really embrace there, and I think Steve and all of us are in agreement with this, it's great to have diversity of thought, but unity of purpose, though. And that's what we're going to strive to have in our front office structures, make sure that we have that, because we want, varying opinions, but that's how you come to some of the best decisions that you can make when it comes to putting together a basketball team.
Scott, over here, Steve Popper from the Bergen Record. When you come in here, obviously you have some ideas of what you want to do moving forward, but do you feel some of the things that, I guess, preceded you, that you want to do some damage control, or go see Kristaps, talk to Carmelo, kind of heal some of the wounds from last year?
I don't think it's I can't really comment on anything prior. I'm a guy. I'm looking ahead, looking forward. I'm looking forward to meeting with all the guys and discussing what we're going to do moving forward.
Well, when we made a decision to change the structure and hire a general manager, I thought Scott brought a lot to the table. Obviously, I've communicated in touch with all of our players multiple times over the course of the summer, and I think we're just excited about moving forward and having a direction, having our players buy into it, and just as Scott said, not looking back but looking forward.
Just on that topic, Mark Berman, New York Post. Do you have a meeting set up face-to-face with Carmelo for this week? And what is the plan to maybe go to Europe and watch some European championships and meet with Porzingis? I know Jeff has talked about going. Is Scott planning to go to Europe? Are you planning to go to Europe to see the three guys out there?
Well, as relates to meetings and Carmelo, I'm not going to play out the process publicly as to how we're interacting with Carmelo and the people representing Carmelo. As it relates to Europe, we're actually going to formulate our plan and decide what we should be doing this summer. But we want to be as closely in touch with all the players on our roster as we possibly can.
Steve, Yaron Weitzman, Bleacher Report. Just to follow up on that, have you guys or any of you guys spoken to Kristaps since the end of the season, and are you able to share any of the parts of those conversations?
Yeah, Kristaps and I have a hectic texting relationship, so I continue to text Kristaps over the summer, and he and I have spoken, I think, 2 or 3 times over the summer.
Pat O'Keefe, News 12, the Bronx. Scott, you just started a job just a few months ago, had a pretty successful, from what it seems, off-season in Sacramento. What made this opportunity so much more appealing for you to come here to New York?
Well, first of all, let me take this moment to thank the people in Sacramento, especially Vlade Divac, who was terrific to work for. And I think that team is headed in the right direction. I was glad I was able to make a lot of contributions. I want to also thank the owner out there as well for that opportunity. But as I stated in the opening, the opportunity to come here, become the general manager of the New York Knickerbockers, one of the most storied franchises in the history of this league, and work with a guy like Steve Mills and have a shared vision and moving forward, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And then from a personal side, my daughter, who I mentioned here, she just moved here to Brooklyn not too long ago, so my family is reunited again. So it just all came together for me, and I'm just so excited to be here and just looking forward to the challenge.
Stephen Bondi, New York Daily News. Steve, one of the options that's come up with Carmelo has been a buyout or a waive. Is that something you could possibly see happening at all with you guys?
No.
I got to follow up. What, with Phil's regime, what do you think went wrong there? What did you learn that you hope to correct from what happened the last 3 years?
Well, you know, when you have an opportunity to work, spend 3 years working with someone with 11 championships and like Phil Jackson, you can't help but learn from it. So he certainly has taught me a lot about basketball and the culture of basketball. He's taught me a lot about how he interacted with players as a coach. So there are a lot of things that I've learned from Phil, and I consider him a friend. And I take the things that I've learned and the way he's broadened sort of my basketball thinking and just apply that to how we move forward.
Len Robbins, MSG Networks. Congratulations to both of you. For Steve and for Scott, the word culture has been used a lot today and in the statement when you guys were hired. Can you expound a little bit more? What does that look like to you guys? And is there a time frame when you can say we have it in place?
Scott?
Yeah. Again, like I just mentioned a second ago, I think what culture looks like is what we do on a daily basis, that we have accountability, that we have organization, that we have a shared vision and focus, that we, in everything we do, whether it's a scouting meeting or going to evaluate prospects or observing the practice, that we're going to be consistent in everything that we do. And above and beyond, let's have fun doing it together. And I think that's the key. We've got to make sure that everyone checks their individual agendas and egos at the door. And when we come in this building, we're going to be a team. We're going to be united as one, and we can agree to disagree internally, but we're going to always, when we get done going through our own processes, we're going to be together every step of the way. And that's the exciting part of it for me. And I know that Steve is that way. And again, I've observed Steve over the years and got to know him and really respect and trust not only his basketball acumen, but his business acumen as well.
And I think for us, the accountability part is one that's not just about the front office. It's not just about us. What can the players expect from each other? I think there needs to be, you know, clarity of message in terms of how we communicate with our players, what we expect, so they know what they can expect from us and they know what they can expect from each other.
Fred Carver from the Post. This is for Jeff. Jeff, you said that, you know, defense first is your objective and you want to do some things differently. For you personally, is there a sense that you can now do things exactly how you want to do it, or, you know, like as of last year maybe you were kind of restricted on things?
I don't think we were restricted. We were trying to meld some different, you know, ways you played basketball. We just weren't able to do it the way we wanted to, but we're moving forward, and I think it gives us an opportunity to incorporate some of the things that we as coaches learned last year, bring in some things that maybe we did before that, and kind of play a game that's out there not only on the offensive side but the defensive side, where guys have to be knowledgeable with, you know, be comfortable with, and feel that if they lay it out there, they're going to have success with it. And so we're working hard right now to get that going for next year.
Howard Becker, Bleacher Report. Steve, you returned to the organization, I think it was almost 4 years ago. Phil arrived maybe 5-6 months after that. So you've been in one of these positions for the last 4 years. What do you want to do differently going forward in this position and with Scott on board that hasn't been the case for the last 4 years?
Well, I think one of the things differently, when I came in the first time, I came in with the dual title of president and general manager. So as we talked about how, and I discussed with Jim how I wanted to envision moving this organization forward, one of the things that I made it clear was that I thought we needed to bring in a general manager, and Scott was one of the people that I had on my list. So I think that's one of the key changes, and I do believe that the things we're talking about today are the things that I would do differently, or that I want to do moving forward, is focus on the young guys, take advantage of the fact that we have draft picks moving forward, and build an organization and build a team that centers around the growth of that group of guys together, which may take longer to do, will take longer to do. But I think it's something that the fans of New York are ready for and will accept as long as the guys come together and play hard and do the kinds of things that we're talking about today.
Hey guys, congratulations, Mike Orknoff for the New York Times. How, with Scott on board, how do you see your long-term team building plan now? Are you trying to win next year, make the playoffs next year? Do you want to take a few years and kind of construct the team in your image and your plan? How do you see yourself long-term and where this organization goes?
I think long-term, we always want our team to be competitive. So when we put our team out on the floor, the guys are going to try to win games. But how we'll judge ourselves and how we'll judge the team is how this group of guys are getting better month by month, game by game, year by year. So we want to have a group of guys that continues to grow together, that, you know, at some point we can feel like we're a championship caliber team. But the immediate goal is to find a group of guys and figure out ways to help them grow together as a basketball team.
Justin Walters, Files One Sports. Congratulations, Scott. There's a perceived or intense pressure when you come to the New York environment. How do you think you'll be able to embrace that? And if there is any outside noise, will you make yourself readily available to address that head on?
Well, I think the best way I'm going to do that is I'm going to be Scott Perry. I'm going to be who I am, what got me here. And that's a person who's very upfront, straightforward, hardworking, and I'm going to be, you know, available as much as I can be available. And I want to make sure that I see myself as a bridge builder, not a bridge destroyer. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I'm embracing the fact that I'm moving to New York, and I understand the magnitude that comes with being in the largest media market in the world. And I'm looking forward to it, and you know, ready to make improvements here with the basketball team. And I think that'll be the biggest statement that I can make, or any of us can make up here, is just a gradual improvement of this basketball team to a point where we can get where we're becoming the elite franchise one day.
Hi, Taylor Rooks, SNY. Congratulations to you. My question is, what do you think is the biggest culture problem with the Knicks right now, and what kind of difficulties do you think will come with changing that perception?
There's really nothing that I can comment on. You know, when you're away from something, I can't comment on that. What I can comment on is what we're going to do moving forward, to be honest with you. So that's what the exciting part of it is for me. I know Steve Mills to the next to me. I know Jeff Hornacek, and I know that there's some alignment here. And so I'm just excited about the possibilities of enhancing what they have begun here over the past few months.
Alan Anazone from Newsday. You guys talked a lot about youth, athleticism, defense. How do you see it working out if Carmelo is back? Because obviously, you know, he takes up so much attention when he's on the court. How are you going to develop players? How do you see it working out if that's the case?
We're not going to speculate about, you know, Carmelo's situation. Carmelo's a great basketball player, and if Carmelo's with us, we will continue to develop our young players. If he's not here, we'll continue to develop our young players. So it doesn't make sense to speculate as to whether or not he's going to be here and how that works.
Steve, just wondering, you having been in that seat for the last few years, do you separate yourself from that now? Is the things that you would have liked to have say over, is he now the guy with every decision, or are you the final say in basketball decisions?
I'm going to give Scott the room to make basketball decisions and make recommendations to me. He's going to have a chance to manage the coaching staff, manage the scouting staff, and make recommendations and as to where we should go as a basketball organization. I think we'll be partners in that, in the sense that he'll come to me with his recommendation, and we'll debate it back and forth. But at the end of the day, I'm giving him the room to make those decisions.
Hi, I'm Michael Powell with the New York Times. I'm a little curious. There's been a lot of questions about accountability, and I haven't heard a direct answer to that yet. Specifically, you, Mr. Mills, and Jeff Hornacek. I mean, it's been a rough 3 years. As you analyze it, you were in the middle, no one better than you guys. What went wrong? Or, I mean, you know, just sort of general themes. What do you see as things, you've been there, what do you see as things that need to change?
Well, I think as we've discussed today, some of the things that need to change is we need to have a very focused plan in terms of how we're going to operate and how we're going to move forward. And that's why we decided to focus on youth, athleticism, those kinds of things. Those are the things we need to do. If we want to build a sustainable organization, that's what we have to do. And obviously, we're in a situation now where that hasn't been the case. And we've been part of it and have to take our portion of the responsibility for it. But we're very clear in terms of how we want to see this organization and this team moving forward. And Jeff and I talk a lot about, you know, what we should expect from our players, what we should expect from a basketball team. I think we're in the same place. A lot of the things that, you know, details that go into playing basketball, those kinds of things are important. How we execute, the importance of execution. We're in alignment completely on the importance of those kinds of things, and we're going to focus on them as we move forward.
Steve, Phil was let go a couple days before free agency, but after the NBA draft, and the kind of perception out there was that he was the ultimate decider on Frank Ntilikina, and that Frank was the best fit for the system going forward. Obviously, the system's going to change a little bit. Were you guys, you and Jeff, were you guys on board with Frank at that spot, and how do you see him fitting things going forward?
I went over and I talked to our scouts a lot about Frank, obviously before the draft. I went over and watched Frank play prior to the draft, met with Frank's coaches, learned a lot about who he is as a player and who he is as a person. So I'm very comfortable with that draft pick. I would have selected Frank at that point in the draft myself. He's a guy that fits in everything that we're talking about right now today in terms of how we want to move forward. He's a smart basketball player. He's obviously defensively, he focuses defensively, and his approach to the game, his work ethic, those things fit exactly in the direction that we want to take this team.
I can just add to that I didn't see Frank play live, but just from tape, as a coach, you're looking, does this guy know how to play basketball? And you're not looking, does he fit this style or that style? Can he play? And I saw it on tape that, yes, he could play in a half-court game. He could play in a up-pace game. He just has great knowledge of the game. So, we were happy to get him.
Steve, Yaron Weitzman, Bleacher Report. We haven't been able to ask you about Tim Hardaway Jr. yet, so could you just explain your reasoning for devoting so much money to him? I know he fits the young and athletic mold, but there were reports that the Hawks had him valued at about $45 million over 4 years. You guys went over that. Could you just go into what was behind that decision? And Scott, I don't know if you can give your thoughts on the deal also, when you kind of found out what was going on with that.
Well, we decided prior to the July 1st that Tim was one of the players that we were targeting. As a matter of fact, Tim was the first phone call I made at 12:02 or 12:01. We just felt like we had watched we were familiar with who Tim is as a person and who he is as a player from his time with us. We watched him, in our opinion, grow over his time through the player development system that they had in Atlanta. And so we decided he was a target. We felt like there are not that many opportunities that in free agency that you have an opportunity to go after a 25-year-old. Most times guys become free later in their, as far as age standpoint, later in their career. And we made a decision that if you want to pry a restricted free agent away from the incumbent team, you have to be aggressive. So we made a decision to be aggressive. As we look at the numbers, we believe Tim is a starting two-guard in this league. Our trajectory for him is to be a starting two-guard. The capability of being a starting two-guard for the rest of his career, and those guys average $16.5 million in the NBA today. So that's how we came to the decision to go after him and how we came to the decision to be aggressive in making sure that he became a Knick.
Yeah, and I would add, we applauded the move from afar when I was obviously in Sacramento at that time, so I'm happy that I'm joining the team that Tim's going to be a part of. I think at 25 years old, he's entering his prime as a basketball player. So that's the right time. You want to have him come aboard. And as Steve mentioned, anytime you can get a starter in free agent, someone you project to be a starter at a key position, add some athleticism, add some scoring and some shooting, you got to go after it. And I believe they went after it the right way, and I'm looking forward to working with Tim.
Scott and Steve, how do you view the starting point guard situation, and do you feel you need to add one, or are you comfortable with what you got?
Well, I think we need to, I'm going to continue to assess the roster, obviously. We'd like to bolster at every position. I think I'm excited about young Frank, but also I think we'll need some, veteran guidance. Whoever that will be, we'll find out who that will be in days and weeks to come. But you definitely want to bolster that position. I look at a point guard when you talk about young players, especially young rookie guys coming in the league. It's important to have a veteran alongside them to help in the mentorship alongside Jeff and his staff's mentorship. So that'll be an important quality, and whoever that may be, we'll find out, like I said, in coming weeks.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press. Jeff, a lot of stuff that's being said about focusing on young players and rebuilding even. Coaches lose games with that a lot of times. When you came here last year, there were veteran guys who were brought in. People thought you guys were going to compete for a playoff spot last year. Are you, fully on board with this plan, or what it could look like for you next year going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking with Steve from the end of the season and now with Scott, the understanding is we want to grow and go forward. We have some talented, very talented young players on this team that we can grow with. Like they said, the veterans can help in that development. And, you never know what happens. These young guys, maybe they're ready to step it up. We're going to push them. The coaches are going to give them every opportunity to show what they have, try to develop them the best we can. And, that's the fun part of coaching, when you get to teach guys stuff, when they listen, when you see. I was happy as heck today when I came in the gym and we had those 8 guys over there working out, doing some of the things they were doing and watching some of the plays they made. So it gives us a great opportunity to coach them and, just go in there and kind of mold them the way we want, and have them playing hard. One of our goals is to get players on this team that play to that extra level of hard every single night. When you go back to Tim Hardaway Jr., he's one of those guys. And we feel we have some of the guys on the team now. So it's a great start for us, and we think we can grow with that group of guys.
Len Robbins, MSG Networks. This is for you, Scott. The 4 players that you drafted in Sacramento, in addition to being talented players, were all high character guys. So were the 3 free agents. Mm-hmm. Will that be the deciding factor for you moving forward in terms of draft, free agents, et cetera?
Well, I think that's definitely an important quality when you're talking about building a sustainable franchise that can be successful in winning. Character plays a big part of that. Obviously, there's other attributes in terms of basketball skill and length and other things that are going to be important to us here. But in addressing those 4 individuals, just to give you a little insight to what we thought about, they all came from great winning programs. They understood sacrifice and what it took to win. So that will be important to us as we move forward. And I think if you look at any winning franchise in the history of this game, I think that is pretty much a recurring theme in terms of the type of players you try to get.
For Scott and for Steve, do you worry with Phil saying explicitly he wanted to get Carmelo out, that it hurt his trade value and the relationship with the organization? And additionally, with you guys saying just now, you want to build around the young players and build around youth, and Carmelo being a veteran, that if he does come back, you guys kind of have to rebuild the relationship with him, and maybe I wonder if the bridges are burned at this point with him at all?
I'm not going to look back on what happened with Carmelo with Phil, and what I know is that I've been in communication with Carmelo and Carmelo's team following the season. I think that we will be a good developing team if Carmelo is part of the team, and we will be a good developing team if he isn't. But I think that we will be in constant communication with Carmelo and Carmelo's camp, and we'll come to some resolution that works well for both of us.
Yeah, and I would just I would obviously second what he's saying about just being in communication with Carmelo and his camp, and look forward to doing that and coming to a resolution that's going to be mutually beneficial for both. And I'm in a position just to look forward. I'm not in a position to really comment on what transpired prior to coming here, but I have a lot of confidence that in moving forward, that whatever happens will work best for both sides. And if he ends up being here, I'm confident that we'll have a great working relationship.
I know you guys don't want to get into specific details with Carmelo stuff, and understandably so, but is there any kind of a deadline where you want to have things settled for this coming season as far as is he staying, or are you going to trade him? Is there a date that you look at or any point in time that you look at that you want to have things sorted out?
No, there's no set timeline for us.
Scott and Steve, I believe that you guys are the only African-American president and GM duo in the league, so I'm just curious, for both of you, what does that mean to you to hold that position?
That's not something that's obviously lost on me. I mean, I mentioned in my opening about my dad and his history in the game and that being groundbreaking. But at the end of the day, we want to be recognized first and foremost for the quality of individuals we are and what type of job we're going to do here to produce a winner in New York, regardless of race. But I also would be remiss not to say that I don't understand the gravity of that, and I embrace the gravity of that, and knowing that if we're able to be successful, that hopefully that will open up doors for other young, aspiring African Americans who want to have these jobs one day.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's ironic for me because I'm on this Global Inclusion Council that the NBA has to find diverse opportunities for people at every level of the game. And we talked a lot about creating opportunities at the GM level. And the irony is that it wasn't until I read some report that said that we were the first or the only African-American duo. I didn't even realize that when we went through the hiring process. It didn't hit me until I read it in the paper. But I think this is about creating opportunities, and young kids can look up to you and think there's something that they can do in this business and be successful. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Hi, question actually for Jeff. Jeff, you spoke earlier about, over here, you spoke earlier about this being a defense-first team and trying to build that way. I know that when you had your greatest success as a coach in Phoenix and also as a player, those were mostly top 10 offenses, and that was sort of the key to maximizing what you guys were able to do. I'm wondering how you came to that, whether you have a prototype for it, and whether you think the roster is ready to do that this year.
Well, we're going to give it our best shot. With the roster we have, as we move forward, if guys we feel are better out there that can fill that role, then I'm sure Scott and Steve will do something about it. But we did have some great offenses there, but I did play in the finals with a guy named Jerry Sloan, who was all about defense. So, to win in this league, you got to have a really good offense too. But you can't just do with that. Golden State's a great offensive team, but they're also one of the top defensive teams. So, we really want to get the emphasis on the defense, that we're not just going to outscore teams or try to outscore teams, and the offense will become easier the better defensively you get. You'll get easier opportunities. You'll get out and run, get the layups, dunks, bring some excitement to the Garden. So, that's where we feel if we're going to have a chance to grow with these young guys, it's got to start there.